Few figures in history are as misunderstood as Vlad the Impaler. To some, he is a national hero who defended his land against the Ottoman Empire. To others, he is a sadistic tyrant, remembered for unimaginable cruelty. And to the Ottomans, he was a nightmare, a ruler who used terror as a weapon. But who was Vlad really? Was he a freedom fighter, a brutal dictator, or simply a medieval ruler doing what survival demanded? To answer that, we must separate legend from reality and return to 15th century Eastern Europe. A land between empires. Vlad III was born around 1431 in Transylvania, a region caught between powerful forces. At the time, the Ottoman Empire was expanding rapidly. Hungary sought dominance in the region. Wallachia, Vlad's homeland, stood in between. Wallachia was not a strong kingdom. It was a buffer state, constantly pressured to submit, pay tribute, or be destroyed. This unstable world shaped Vlad long before he ruled, and his childhood would shape him even more. A childhood in captivity. When Vlad was a boy, his father made a dangerous decision. To keep his throne, Vlad II sent his sons, including young Vlad, to the Ottoman court as hostages. This was common practice. The Ottomans did not torture the boys. They educated them, trained them, and expected loyalty. But captivity leaves scars. Vlad watched absolute power in action, brutal punishments used to enforce obedience, how fear could control an empire. His younger brother Radu adapted. Vlad did not. This experience would later define his rule. Taking the throne. Wallachia's throne was never secure. Rulers were overthrown constantly by rivals, nobles, or foreign powers. When Vlad finally became ruler in 1456, he faced a rebellious nobility, foreign interference, and Ottoman pressure to pay tribute. Vlad believed instability was Wallachia's greatest weakness. His solution? Absolute control. The Reign of Terror. Vlad's punishments were shocking, even by medieval standards. His preferred method was impalement. Criminals, corrupt nobles, traitors, and invaders were executed publicly, not to satisfy cruelty, but to send a message, and the message worked. Stories tell of merchants leaving gold untouched in public, crime nearly disappearing, order imposed through fear. Was this madness or calculated strategy? In a region where power meant survival, Vlad ruled through terror to prevent chaos, but his enemies had their own stories to tell. The Ottoman Nightmare. In 1462, Vlad refused to pay tribute to the Sultan Mehmed II. Instead, he launched raids across the Danube, killing thousands of Ottoman soldiers. When the Sultan marched into Wallachia with a massive army, he expected submission. What he found instead was horror. Fields and forests filled with impaled bodies, a psychological weapon. Even Mehmed II, conqueror of Constantinople, reportedly withdrew. For the Ottomans, Vlad was not just an enemy, he was unpredictable, brutal, and impossible to intimidate. But fear alone could not save him forever. Part 6. Propaganda and the Birth of a Monster. Vlad's downfall came not only from armies, but from stories. His enemies, especially in German-speaking regions, spread pamphlets portraying him as a monster, exaggerated cruelty, invented atrocities, demonized imagery. These were some of Europe's earliest propaganda campaigns. Meanwhile, in Romanian oral tradition, Vlad became a just ruler, a defender of order, a symbol of resistance. Two narratives, two Vlads, both based on truth and exaggeration. Hero, tyrant, or both? So who was Vlad the Impaler? By modern standards, his punishments were horrific. His rule was authoritarian. By medieval standards, he was not unique. Many rulers ruled through fear. What makes Vlad different is memory. To Romanians, he represents resistance and justice. To his enemies, cruelty and terror. To the Ottomans, a ruler who turned fear against them. Perhaps Vlad was not a monster or a saint, but a ruler shaped by a brutal age. The real legacy. Vlad the Impaler survives in history because he forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. In an age of empires, survival often demanded brutality. Whether you see him as a hero, tyrant, or Ottoman nightmare depends on where you stand in history. And that is why his legacy still divides the world today. So now I ask you, was Vlad the Impaler a necessary defender of his people, or a ruler who went too far? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoy controversial history told without myths or propaganda, subscribe for more stories history rarely explains this way.